series that I've watched ever since I was a child, Dragon Ball Z has always been my favorite. It's held the most important place in my heart just because of what the series did for me. Now, like a lot of anime shows, of course Dragon Ball Z had a huge slew of video games, most of which released in the US were fighting games, except for those on mobile devices. And, that being said, most of them were actually pretty good. No, not that one. The first one that most people actually remember would be Dragon Ball Z Legacy of Goku. And though it's not necessarily the greatest Dragon Ball Z game ever, you do have to give it credit for its, no pun intended, legacy. Now, while this game was rather slow and a little bit sluggish and only playing as Goku and he felt like driving a tank through a lot of mud, the sequel, Legacy of Goku 2, was actually pretty phenomenal. You could play as 6 different characters, including Goku. Some of the original problems in this game were they polished and fixed for this one, including the level up system, the hitbox detection so it wouldn't be quite so weird, and boss fights were a lot more fun, whereas in Legacy of Goku 1 they felt like a drag. Now, believe it or not, there's actually a third game in the Legacy of Goku series, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. A hidden gem for the Game Boy Advance, third in the Legacy of Goku series, called Dragon Ball Z, Boo's Fury. I'm really surprised that not a lot of people remember this one, or even really know about it. So, the way that it works is, at the end of Legacy of Goku 2 finishes with the Cell Saga, so it's Gohan's climactic final fight with Cell. And Cell is defeated and Goku's dead and continues in the afterlife. Well, that's where Boo's Fury picks up. Boo's Fury picks up at the beginning of the Tournament Saga all the way to the end of the Kid Buu Saga, so you play the rest of the Dragon Ball Z series. And, to its credit, all the good things that were enjoyable about Legacy of Goku 1, including boss fights, leveling up, transformations, everything was increased in Boo's Fury to make it 1,000 times better. You can go Super Saiyan 3. There's even fusion when you fuse Vegeta and Goku to make Gogeta and Vegito. What truly blows my mind is that as good as this game is and as well built this game is, I can't understand why it just didn't do well. Now, the biggest speculation would be that Boo's Fury does not share the same name in the Legacy of Goku series, though it is essentially Legacy of Goku 3. But the name is different. Now, the reason why I think that they changed it was because in Legacy of Goku 1, you play exclusively as Goku and that's it. Legacy of Goku 2, you barely play as Goku at all. You play as him for maybe the last fifth of the game and then he dies in the Cell games. So it's a little bit, especially for hardcore Goku fans, a little bit disappointing not to play as your favorite character for too long. Then, at the end game, when you want to go around and collect all the statues and collectibles, you can't play as Goku. So anything that you'd want to do as him, you'd have to do before you fight Cell in the Cell Saga. I can't prove any of this, but my speculation is this is very similar to why Boo's Fury is called Boo's Fury and not Legacy of Goku 3. Goku, you can play as him a lot more in Boo's Fury than in Legacy of Goku 2, especially because you start off playing as Goku, though he is dead. But a majority of the game, except for the parts where you play as Goku, you play as everyone else. You play as Vegeta, Goten, Kid Trunks, and of course Adult Gohan. And Adult Gohan really takes more of the center stage in this one, because he was the one that did Now, Adult Gohan is the one that does the most of the fighting, especially because he was the character who fought Majin Buu the most. Whereas Goku didn't come back till after he got brought back to life when Elder Kai sacrificed himself. So I think that's why it wasn't called The Legacy of Goku 3, and unfortunately I believe that's why the game did not sell as well as the other two. I also believe that Legacy of Goku 1 and the Dragon Ball Z trading card game were so poorly received that it put a lot of bad taste in players' mouths. So those that didn't play Legacy of Goku 2 would look at this one and go, oh geez, another Dragon Ball Z game that I don't want to play. I'd have to say, if you can pick up any of the Legacy of Goku games, especially the last two, I think they'd really be worth a playthrough. They're a lot of fun, and they tell the story of Dragon Ball Z very accurately. Another bonus, too, is how they do the musical score from the US version of Dragon Ball, and they bit crush it to make it work better on the 32-bit Game Boy Advance. So it's really refreshing to hear your favorite songs in like that Genesis Nintendo flair. This has been another episode of Hidden Gems. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.